Welcome. In today's video, we're going to be learning about working with expressions. The standard that this matches with is standard EE.A.1 for 7th grade. Let's get started. So first, we're going to need to know some keywords. We need to know that a variable is a symbol that is a placeholder for a number. A constant is a number that does not change. An expression is a number or any combination of sums, differences, products, or divisions of numbers or variables that evaluate to a number. The terms are the parts of an expression separated by addition or subtraction. And the coefficient of the term is a number that is attached to a variable by multiplication or division. And like terms are terms whose variables and their exponents are the same. So here we have an expression, and we're going to look at the different parts of this expression. So first we have the constants. We see here that 7 and 4 are the constants because their value does not change. Next we have the variable. Here we have x is our variable. We can plug in any number for x, and the variable x is a placeholder for a number. Now we have the coefficient of this variable. The coefficient here is 2, and it is attached to the variable by multiplication. And here we can see what the terms of our expression are. The terms here are 7, 2x, and 4. And you can see here that the terms in this expression are combined with addition. And this whole thing that we have here, that's our expression. So now we're going to talk about expanding expressions. So to expand expressions, we're going to need to review the distributive property. So the distributive property tells us that you can multiply a factor outside of parentheses by each term inside the parentheses. So here we have 3x plus 2. In order to distribute the 3, we have to multiply it by the x and by the 2. So now for our next step, we have 3x plus 3 times 2. And then we can simplify that to get 3x plus 6. So let's do another example of the distributive property. So here we have a 4 outside the parentheses, and inside the parentheses we have 2x minus 1 plus x. So we're going to need to distribute this 4 to each of the terms inside the parentheses. So here we have 4 times 2x, we have plus 4 times our negative 1, and then we have 4 times x. So now we can simplify this, and we have 8x plus negative 4 plus 4x. Here are some example exercises that you can practice on your own to practice expanding your expressions. Now let's talk about factoring our expressions. So factoring is like the opposite of distributing. So let's look at this example we have here. We have 3x plus 6. Now we want to factor this expression. So in order to do that, we're going to have to find the greatest common factor of these terms. So the first term we have is 3x. So we know that the factors of this are 1, 3, and x. And our second term is 6, and we know the factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. So the greatest common factor of both of the terms we have here is 3. So now we know that our 3 will go outside of parentheses, but we don't know what's going to go inside the parentheses. Well, if we look at this, we know that our term here was 3x, and so we divided by the factor 3, so what we're left with on this side will be x. And now let's look at the 6. Well, we took out the factor of 3, so we know that the number we need to multiply 3 by in order to get to 6 is 2. So then we'll have 3 times x plus 2. Let's try another example. So here we have 5 plus 35x. So let's try to figure out our greatest common factor. Well, our factors of 5 are 1 and 5, and our factors of 35 are 1 and 35, then we have 5 and 7, and we also have our x. So here we can see that the greatest common factor of 5 and 35x is 5. So now we're going to have to take out a 5 from both of the terms. So we have our 5 on the outside of our parentheses, and on the inside of parentheses, we have to put a 1 here, because that's when you multiply by 5 to get 5. And here, we're going to have to put a 7x, because those are the remaining factors of 35x once you remove the 5. So we're left with 5 outside of parentheses and 1 plus x inside the parentheses. Here are some examples that you can try on your own to practice factoring expressions. Now let's talk about combining like terms. So we already know that like terms are terms whose variables and their exponents are the same. Now we can see that 2x and 4x are like terms because they have the same variable x. And we can see that 5y and 2x are not like terms because they have different variables. For this term, the variable is y, and this term, the variable is x, so they cannot be like terms. We can combine like terms by adding or subtracting the coefficient of the terms. So here we can see we have 4x plus 3x. We know that these two terms are like terms because they have the same variable x. The coefficient of these terms are positive 4 and positive 3, so we can add them. So here we add 4x plus 3x and we get 7x. Here's some exercises you can try on your own to practice combining like terms.